The sun barely crept over the small town's horizon, but Anna Mitchell was already at work. Her sleeves were rolled up, faint streaks of grease marking her pale uniform like mechanic outfit, though hers had a more practical flair. A worn denim apron and scuffed boots. Shoulder-length chestnut black hair was loosely tied back, a few strands stubbornly escaping as if reflecting her restless energy. Hazel eyes, expressive and slightly tired from long nights helping her father, scanned the jumble of tools and half-finished engines in her father's workshop. Before we start, welcome to InspireTube, stories that move, motivate, and inspire. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a life-changing journey. Now, let's dive into today's story. Anna had always been considered quiet, humble, and kind by everyone who knew her, but those same qualities had often made her underestimate herself. She wasn't the flashy type. She didn't have the connections that other mechanics in town boasted about. All she had was her hands, her mind, and an uncanny ability to see how engines worked, almost as if she could feel them. The workshop smelled of oil, rubber, and the faint metallic tang of unfinished engines. Mr. Jenkins, the old diner cook who moonlighted as the neighborhood's unofficial handyman and occasional mentor, had once told her that real talent always stood out. But talent meant nothing if the world didn't notice. That morning, the garage door creaked open and in walked Michael Harrington, the town's notorious perfectionist and owner of Harrington Automotive, a man whose reputation made even seasoned mechanics uneasy. He was tall, lean, with sharp blue eyes that seemed to pierce through pretense, and messy dark blonde hair that never seemed to obey gravity. His faded jacket and wrinkled shirt suggested he'd been on the road all night, and the battered leather briefcase he carried had clearly seen better days. Michael's arrival wasn't just routine, it radiated expectation. "I hear you're the one who knows engines better than anyone else in town," Michael said, his voice even but edged with challenge. Anna's heart skipped. She wasn't looking for trouble, but she knew the moment she looked up at him, her skills were about to be tested in a way she hadn't anticipated. "Only the ones I've worked on," Anna replied, keeping her tone calm, though her fingers twitched involuntarily toward a wrench nearby. Michael smirked faintly, the kind of smirk that always made people second-guess themselves. "About an engine nobody in town has been able to fix. Some say it's impossible. I'm curious if you think you can manage it." Anna tilted her head, skeptical but intrigued. The impossible engine had a reputation that bordered on legendary. Every local mechanic had tried and failed. Everyone said it was a lost cause. "You're asking me to do what?" she said, her voice low, almost incredulous. "I'm daring you," Michael said, leaning casually against the doorway. "Fix it. Prove me wrong. Or prove me right that some things are just impossible." The weight of the challenge settled over Anna like a heavy fog. It wasn't just the engine. This was about her reputation, about the proof that she was more than just her father's helper. Every day of practice, every sleepless night studying engines, every small victory in fixing what others dismissed, it all came down to this. Anna's hazel eyes flicked to the engine sitting on the stand. It was a complicated tangle of pistons, wires, and components that seemed to taunt her silently. She took a deep breath, rolled her shoulders back, and said, "I'll take your dare." Michael's eyes sparkled not with amusement, but with a mix of curiosity and disbelief. "You really think you can fix it?" Anna smiled faintly, a mix of nerves and quiet determination. "I know I can." Mr. Jenkins, who had been quietly cleaning the counters at the back of the garage, shook his head but didn't say a word. He'd seen plenty of young hopefuls take on challenges too big for them, but something about Anna felt different. She had that rare combination of patience, intuition, and stubborn courage that only a few ever possessed. As Michael left, confident that he had set an insurmountable challenge, Anna approached the engine. She ran her fingers over the cold metal, listening to the faint hum of possibility. This wasn't just about fixing an engine, it was about proving to herself and everyone else that underdogs could rise, that quiet determination could turn the impossible into reality. Little did she know, the day would bring setbacks she hadn't anticipated, lessons she hadn't learned, and a moment of revelation that would shock everyone, especially Michael Harrington. Anna stared at the engine like it was a puzzle crafted by someone who wanted to see her fail. The tangle of pistons, wires, and rusted components seemed almost alive, daring her to touch it. She tightened her apron, took a deep breath, and began carefully examining every part. At first, it seemed straightforward. She wiped away grease, rotated pistons by hand, and traced wiring with a practiced eye. She whispered to herself, almost like a mantra, "There's always a way. There has to be a way." But the engine resisted. Every time she adjusted a component, another problem revealed itself. A bolt stripped, a piston jammed, a wire frayed. Frustration gnawed at her. Sweat formed on her brow, mixing with the smudges of oil. She had faced tough engines before, but this one was different. It felt almost impossible. Her hands shook as she attempted a particularly stubborn part. The wrench slipped. Metal screeched. Anna gritted her teeth, anger flaring for just a moment before she forced herself to breathe to steady her nerves. "You can't quit," she muttered under her breath. Not now. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting harsh light through the garage windows. The rhythmic tick of her tools was broken only by the occasional sigh of frustration. She thought of her father, who had taught her that patience often revealed answers faster than brute strength. But even with patience, the engine refused to cooperate. At lunch, Anna stepped outside, wiping her hands on a rag. The small town streets were alive with mid-morning activity. Shops opened, kids on bicycles laughed, and neighbors waved at familiar faces. She envied their simple, carefree lives. Meanwhile, the engine inside waited, silent and unyielding. "Hey kid, you sure about this?" Mr. Jenkins asked, leaning against the doorway. He held a steaming cup of coffee, his small round glasses glinting in the sunlight. He had seen countless young hopefuls attempt the impossible and fail. Anna forced a smile. "I have to try. I can't let it win." He nodded, a silent gesture of respect, but worry lingered in his eyes. He knew the day would test not just her skill, but her spirit. Back in the garage, Anna tried again. She followed manuals, referenced schematics, and double-checked every connection. She worked methodically, yet every attempt felt like pushing against a wall that moved when she pressed. The engine's secrets remained hidden, almost mocking her determination. By mid-afternoon, exhaustion settled in. Her arms ached. Her fingers were stained with black grease. She wiped her face, staring at the engine with equal parts frustration and fascination. For a fleeting moment, doubt crept in. "Maybe I'm not good enough," she whispered. Then she remembered Michael's smirk from that morning, the subtle disbelief in his eyes. That spark of challenge ignited something deeper. It wasn't just about proving him wrong. It was about proving to herself that she could rise above doubt. She tightened her grip on the wrench and leaned back into the engine, determination hardening her resolve. As evening approached, Anna faced her first small victory. A stubborn piston finally rotated smoothly after hours of careful coaxing. Her heart leapt. She smiled, but quickly reminded herself, this was only one piece of a very complex puzzle. One success did not mean the entire engine would yield. Word of her efforts began to spread quietly. A few town residents stopped by the garage, peeking in curiously. Some whispered encouragement. Others doubted her chances. Yet Anna's focus remained unbroken. She worked as if the engine itself were a living puzzle, waiting for the right touch, the right intuition. By nightfall, Anna sat on a stool, wiping sweat and oil from her face. The engine was still far from fixed, but something had shifted. She had glimpsed its rhythm, its hidden logic. That tiny breakthrough, so small, yet so significant, reignited hope. "I won't give up," she said firmly to herself, her hazel eyes reflecting the dim garage lights. "I'll figure this out, even if it kills me." The garage fell silent, save for the occasional drip of oil and the distant hum of the town settling into night. Outside, the stars began to appear, tiny points of light reminding her that even in darkness, hope could shine. And in that moment, Anna knew the real test was not just fixing the engine, it was discovering the strength she hadn't realized she possessed. Little did she know, tomorrow would bring more than just physical challenges. It would bring a revelation, something that would not only test her skill, but shock everyone who doubted her, including Michael Harrington. The next morning, the garage smelled faintly of burnt oil and anticipation. Anna arrived early, her hazel eyes sharper than ever, reflecting the determination that had been quietly building over the past day. She knew that today could make or break her. The impossible engine was no longer just a puzzle. It was a test of her ingenuity, patience, and courage. Anna inspected the engine from every angle. She noticed subtle inconsistencies, a barely perceptible warp in a piston housing, an unusual alignment in the timing chain, tiny scratches where previous mechanics had forced tools and failed. Her intuition whispered that the engine wasn't impossible, it had just been misunderstood. She adjusted her gloves, grabbed a wrench, and whispered to herself, "This time, I'll listen to it, not fight it." Hours passed in concentrated effort. She tried techniques she had read about, improvised methods she had imagined, and slowly, but surely, began to coax the engine into cooperation. Every turn of a bolt and adjustment of a gear felt like a conversation. She could almost hear the engine responding under her hands. Then, finally, a small but distinct click resonated through the garage. A component that had resisted every attempt the day before now moved smoothly. Her pulse quickened. She took a step back, wiped the sweat from her brow, and examined the engine carefully. "It's working," she whispered. The breakthrough was exhilarating, but Anna knew better than to celebrate prematurely. She continued to carefully align pistons, tighten wires, and recalibrate the engine. Hours later, as the afternoon sunlight streamed through the dusty garage windows, she could feel the engine almost humming beneath her fingers. For the first time, it didn't feel impossible. It felt alive, responding to her intuition. At that moment, the garage door creaked open. Michael Harrington stood there, arms crossed, his piercing blue eyes fixed on Anna. There was a subtle smirk on his face, but it carried an unmistakable hint of surprise. "I see you're still at it," he said. "I didn't expect this much progress so soon." Anna didn't look up immediately. She focused on the engine, listening to its rhythm. "It's different than anyone said," she said carefully. "It's not impossible, it's just misunderstood." Michael's brow furrowed. "Misunderstood? That's a new one. Show me." With careful precision, Anna guided him through the engine's intricate workings. She explained her reasoning, pointing out the subtle misalignments and hidden flaws others had overlooked. Her voice trembled slightly from both exhaustion and anticipation, but her confidence grew with each explanation. Michael leaned closer, scrutinizing every detail. For the first time, he seemed genuinely impressed and a little unsettled. "You're right," he admitted, his tone tinged with disbelief. Nobody saw that. Anna felt a rush of quiet pride, but there was no time to savor it. She inserted the final piece, adjusted a last connection, and turned the key. The engine roared to life, a smooth, powerful purr that filled the garage and echoed like triumph. Michael's jaw dropped. He hadn't just doubted her ability, he had doubted the very possibility of success. And now, standing there in the garage filled with the steady hum of a revived engine, he had to confront the reality. Anna had done what everyone else had failed to do. A few of the town's early risers had stopped by, curious about the commotion. They peeked through the garage windows and gasped at the sight. Whispers spread like wildfire. "She did it, she actually did it." Anna wiped her hands, trying to calm the tremor in her body. She had faced frustration, self-doubt, and near exhaustion, yet she had persevered. And now, the engine's steady purr was proof that determination, patience, and intuition could overcome even the most daunting challenge. Michael finally stepped back, shaking his head in disbelief. "I didn't think it was possible," he said, almost in awe. "You shocked everyone today." Anna smiled softly, her fatigue mingling with pride. "I didn't do it to shock anyone," she said quietly. "I did it to prove to myself that I could." Mr. Jenkins, who had been silently observing from the corner, finally spoke. "Kid, you've got something special. That wasn't just skill, it was heart." The moment carried a quiet magic. Anna had not only fixed the impossible engine, but also reshaped the expectations of everyone around her. It was a victory not born from shortcuts or luck, but from persistence, intelligence, and the courage to believe in herself when no one else did. And yet, as triumphant as the moment was, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The garage had witnessed her first victory, but the world beyond held more challenges, more doubts to overcome, and more opportunities to surprise those who underestimated her. Little did Michael and everyone else know, the day held one final revelation that would leave them even more astonished, changing not just how they viewed engines, but how they viewed Anna herself. Anna leaned back, letting out a slow breath as the engine's smooth purr filled the garage. The impossible engine, once a symbol of failure and doubt, was now alive, humming with energy and proof of her skill. For a moment, the world seemed to pause, as if holding its breath to witness the triumph of someone who had refused to quit. But then, as Michael approached the engine to inspect it, Anna noticed something strange. A small, hidden panel at the back of the engine, the kind most mechanics would have overlooked, was slightly loose. Curious, she opened it carefully and discovered a set of intricate modifications that weren't part of the original design. Someone had tried to tamper with it, creating the very problems that made the engine impossible. Her eyes widened. This someone didn't just fail, they tried to sabotage it, she muttered under her breath. Michael froze, following her gaze. Sabotage? Are you serious? Anna nodded. Yes. Whoever built this didn't want it fixed. That's why every mechanic failed. They were solving the wrong problem. But once you understand the real flaw, it's well solvable. The revelation hit Michael like a punch. His sharp blue eyes widened in a mixture of awe and disbelief. You didn't just fix the impossible engine, he said slowly. You uncovered someone else's mistakes, their deception. That's genius. Anna shrugged lightly, still focused on the engine. I just listened. I didn't fight it blindly. I tried to understand it instead of forcing it. That's all. Word of her discovery spread quickly. The small group of onlookers outside the garage grew into a crowd of curious neighbors and mechanics who had once doubted her. Whispers of admiration and astonishment filled the air. She actually did it. She fixed it and uncovered the sabotage. Mr. Jenkins, standing quietly at the corner, finally shook his head in disbelief. Kid, you've done more than anyone could imagine. That's heart, skill, and courage all rolled into one. Michael stepped back, his usual confidence replaced with genuine respect. He extended a hand toward Anna, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. I came here expecting to challenge you, maybe even humiliate you, but you've done the impossible. Not just fixing the engine, discovering the truth behind it. I've underestimated you. I apologize. Anna hesitated for a brief moment, then shook his hand firmly, a small smile on her face. I didn't do it for apologies, she said quietly. I did it to prove to myself that I could. The emotional weight of the day hung in the garage like a tangible presence. Anna had faced ridicule, doubt, and an engine designed to defeat her, but she had emerged victorious, stronger, smarter, and more confident than ever. The crowd cheered softly, not just for the engine's revival, but for the triumph of perseverance and ingenuity. As the evening light streamed through the garage windows, Anna finally allowed herself a moment of reflection. She thought of the days spent studying, practicing, and learning from mistakes. Every small setback, every failure had led her to this moment. The impossible engine had become more than a challenge. It had become a testament to her resilience and her ability to see what others could not. Michael, standing quietly beside her, finally spoke again. Anna, you've changed how I view talent. Not just skill, but determination, insight, and heart. You've set a new standard. Anna smiled softly, her tired but warm expression glowing in the dim light. Maybe, but I think the real lesson is that no challenge is impossible if you approach it with patience and understanding. Anyone can brute force a problem, but few take the time to truly listen, to observe, to learn. The crowd outside erupted into applause, some wiping away tears, others recording on phones. Anna's story, the quiet mechanic's daughter who dared to take on the impossible, was becoming a legend in the small town. But for her, the true reward was deeper than recognition. It was the confidence that she could face any challenge, no matter how daunting, with intelligence, courage, and heart. That night, as the garage doors closed and the town's streets grew quiet, Anna cleaned her tools with a gentle smile. The impossible engine rested quietly on its stand, a living testament to her dedication. Somewhere in the shadows of the workshop, Mr. Jenkins chuckled softly. "Kid, you didn't just fix an engine, you inspired a town." And in that moment, Anna understood the greatest truth of all. Triumph is not measured by the applause of others, but by the quiet victories that strengthen your spirit and defy expectation. She had proven herself not to anyone else, but to herself. And that was a victory no one could ever take away. The garage was quiet now, save for the soft hum of the once impossible engine resting on its stand. Anna Mitchell sat on a stool nearby, arms crossed over her chest, a faint smile gracing her tired but glowing face. The long day had been exhausting, filled with doubt, struggle, and tension, but it had also been transformative. She had proven not just her skill, but her ability to persevere when no one else believed in her. Michael Harrington lingered near the doorway, his sharp blue eyes softened by newfound respect. "You've done more than fix an engine," he admitted quietly. "You've changed the way I think about challenges and talent." Anna shrugged, a modest smile playing on her lips. "I didn't do it for recognition. I just wanted to see if I could." Mr. Jenkins, who had stayed behind to witness the day's events, leaned against a workbench, nodding approvingly. "Kid, some people spend their whole lives looking for talent in all the wrong places. You're the real deal. But more than that, you've shown what it means to stick with something, even when the world says you can't." Outside the garage, the town slowly settled into evening calm. Neighbors who had come to watch and cheer quietly dispersed, their conversations filled with awe and admiration. The story of the mechanic's daughter who had fixed the impossible engine would ripple through the town for weeks, maybe even months. But for Anna, the accolades were secondary. She stood, brushing grease from her hands, and approached the engine once more. Her fingers lingered over the metal, tracing its contours with a quiet reverence. "It wasn't just about fixing you," she whispered. "It was about proving to myself that I can face what seems impossible and find a way." Michael cleared his throat, breaking the moment. "So what now? Are you staying here, taking on more of these impossible engines, or?" Anna looked up at him, a spark of determination in her hazel eyes. "I think this is just the beginning. There's always another challenge, another engine, another problem someone else thinks can't be solved. And I'll face them. Because it's not about being the best, it's about never giving up." Her words hung in the garage like a quiet mantra. There was power in her conviction, a reminder that triumph often comes not from innate superiority, but from courage, persistence, and a willingness to learn when others give up. Mr. Jenkins chuckled softly. "You know, kid, you've inspired more people today than you realize. And the best part? They'll remember it not because of the engine, but because of you." Anna glanced around the garage, at the tools scattered across the benches, at the engine that had once seemed impossible, and at the fading sunlight casting warm hues across the room. She realized that the victory wasn't only about skill, it was about heart, creativity, and resilience. And those were qualities that could carry her far beyond the walls of this small-town garage. That night, Anna locked up the workshop and walked home under a sky full of stars. Each step felt lighter, freer, as if the weight of doubt and uncertainty had been lifted. She carried with her a quiet pride, not in the approval of others, but in the knowledge that she had faced an impossible challenge, fought through fear and frustration, and emerged victorious. And as she lay in bed that night, hazel eyes staring at the ceiling, she thought about the engines yet to come, the problems yet to be solved, and the obstacles that would test her again. She smiled softly, knowing that no matter how impossible a challenge seemed, she had discovered the truth. Determination, insight, and courage could turn the impossible into reality. The story of Anna Mitchell, the quiet, humble, and fiercely determined mechanic's daughter, would linger in the town's memory for years. But more importantly, it would linger in her own mind, a constant reminder that the underdog, armed with heart and grit, could not just survive challenges but triumph over them in ways that shocked the world. And in that realization, Anna felt something far greater than victory. She felt freedom, the freedom to pursue impossible things, to trust herself, and to know that, no matter the odds, she had the power to change the outcome.